My name is Varun Gupta. I'm a fashion designer from Paris, currently in Station F, which is Europe's biggest incubator for startups. So I am an SMOD alumni. For those of you who don't know, SMOD is one of the oldest fashion schools of France. I graduated from the school in 2015, and since then I have worked for different fashion brands, mostly luxury and premium, like vivaz, Max Azria, Coach, Dolce Gabbana, Balenciaga, Emmanuel Ungaro, to name a few. And last year I also started my own ready-to-wear brand called Marja Mirage. So over the past 8 years of my professional life, I've observed that the topic of mood boards and inspiration boards is something which a lot of companies struggle with, both experienced as well as the emerging designers. And it's a topic which is not very well covered in fashion schools. And for those of you who are still students, I hope this masterclass will be extremely beneficial for you. Today's masterclass will clear almost 80% of your doubts, how to differentiate between the two boards on a very basic level, and how to create your content exactly as needed by your business partners. So we'll begin with the presentation. So what purpose does a mood board or an inspiration board serve? Before anything else, all boards are tools of communication in general. Why I say tools of communication is because as the art director or the creative director, you might have different sources of inspiration. A texture, an object, architecture, plants, a movie poster, a song, a video, and all of these sources of inspiration incite different responses from different people. And when you're working in a team, your team members, your assistants, your interns cannot see in your mind what direction do you want to take as the director for your project. So the mood board is a common place where we assemble all our ideas so all the team members can work in a common direction. Let me explain this better with the help of an example. For example, I show you this image. So different people will focus on different parts of this image. Somebody might focus on the brown color, someone else might focus on the sparkles, another person might focus on the irregular effect of the rocks. So as the art director, what is my focus? What is my inspiration and which direction do I want to take? If I don't clarify this vision to my team from the very beginning, there will be a lot of errors and miscommunication in the project. So if I add keywords, for example, texture, which might help with the fabric selection, or multi-layered effect, which might help with the volume research. Now together with the keywords and the picture, I have a complete mood board. And hence there is a lot less scope for error. Of course, if my assistants still have questions, they can ask me, but from the very beginning, my entire team will work in a more cohesive manner. The next purpose of the mood board is to ensure effective and efficient communication. So a couple of years ago, I had a student and we were working together on mood board creation for our project. Now she is someone who thinks a lot about cost, unnecessary activities, and how to do the maximum amount of work with the least amount of effort. So she asked me, why is it necessary that I have to absolutely buy this huge whiteboard, stick pictures on it, spend 3 days creating a mood board, while I can just type my objectives and my research on an A4 size sheet and distribute it with my interns. So let's say that I'm working with you in a team and I give you this textual description of my brief on print development. The spring summer collection will be inspired by optical art. The creative research will be based on the following parameters: experimenting with parallel lines for print development, working with non-continuous lines, combine geometric shapes and secondary colors, and symmetric shapes and patterns for prints. So, how easy would it be for you to understand my message and my vision with this long textual description vis-a-vis a mood board with pictures and only short keywords? In both the methods, the message is the same. We see experimental lines, optical art, geometric shapes, colors, symmetry, but the visual element is more effective in getting the message across compared to a long textual description. This is because the human mind, it registers visual messages much better compared to long text. And the fourth and the most important purpose of the mood board is to ensure cohesion across teams. So in an organization, we work with a lot of different teams, both internal and external. In your internal team, you have your design department, the PR department, your marketing department, accounts. Your external team might consist of influencers, agents, distributors, retailers, etc. And it's absolutely necessary that all of these people they follow the same message, same vision, same communication in their respective processes. So making a mood board will help you ensure that all your teams and all your departments are taking the same message from a common source and relaying it with their respective collaborators. For example, the design team, they will be working with the interns and uh, pattern makers to make the collection. Your PR agents will be communicating with the celebrities. Your distributors will be communicating with their respective clients. So it's necessary that all these parties they are saying and sharing the same exact message which was initially intended by you. So far so good. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to type it in the chat box. Okay, so now we'll move to the main part of the masterclass, the differences between the mood board and the inspiration board. So on the left, we have a board with a lot of different elements. We have the flowers, the plants, different pictures, colors. And on the right, we have fabrics, color cards, silhouettes. So what are the major differences between the two and how can we optimize these boards for our respective projects? Difference number one, the mood board communicates the overall vibe of the project, the overall aesthetic. So when the designer is developing their image bank, collecting different pictures, images, sources of inspiration, they're not focusing on the minute details of the collection or the particular fabric or a particular volume. Their main aim is to, in the first place, is to bring in as many sources of references as possible to have on file. It's when the intern and the other team members come together to actually start working on the collection that we start thinking about the minute details, the exact colors, shapes, cuts of the collection. So all the technical information like the fabric trends, color palettes, volume research is part of the inspiration board, whereas the overall aesthetic and the ambience is communicated through the mood board. Difference number two is the aim. The aim of the mood board is simply to show the overall aesthetic and the vibe. It not only communicates the vibe, but it communicates the vibe with the help of certain specific sources of inspiration, a particular picture, a particular object, a particular cut. The objective of the inspiration board is to show, however, how this particular object has been translated into the final garment. For example, your inspiration can be nature, but to depict nature, you use a photo of a green leaf and a few petals of yellow sunflower. And in the inspiration board, to show that how you have used the green leaf and the yellow petals in your final garment, you can show maybe the use of yellow and green fabrics, or you can choose, or you can show that the garments that you're making have a similar shape and structure as that of a flower or the green leaf. Or you can focus on another detail which can be translated from the object or the inspiration in question into the final garment. The third point of difference is who designs the mood board and who designs the inspiration board. Simply put, the mood board is designed by the designer or his creative team, and this is a document which the designer shares with other collaborators or teams within the company, whereas the inspiration board is the document which is developed by his team members following the description of the mood board. The mood board sets out the overall objectives, vibe, limitations, in which the creative research has to confine, whereas the inspiration board explains the exact steps involved in the creative research. Now, as students or amateurs, it might be difficult at first to understand these differences, but if you don't remember anything else, just remember the one major difference between the two boards, that everything you add in the mood board does not go in the final garments, whereas everything which you add in the inspiration board will be directly included in the final garment. For example, if you if in the mood board you're using pictures of trees, flowers, animals, you're not going to actually sew or include these leaves and these flowers in your clothes. But if you develop a print based or inspired from these animals or these nature pictures, these this print will be included in your clothes. So the image of the nature and the animals is part of the mood board, and the print that you would have developed from these pictures will go in the inspiration board. For example, on the screen, if you see on the top right, there are 6 silhouettes, and the clothes that they're wearing, they do not contain any of the images which we see on the mood board. However, they do contain the prints, the colors, the stripes which are shown in the inspiration board in the bottom left and the center. Now we look at some common elements that we add in both the mood boards and the inspiration boards. This will give you a deep understanding of the kind of content which goes in each kind of board and help you better construct your content surrounding your collections. Some very common elements of the mood board can be celebrity pictures, fabric pictures, quotes, expressions, poetry, keywords, personal photography, filters and digital effects, color blocking techniques, architecture, nature, animal pictures, activities, leisure, sports pictures, prints, embroidery, household objects, surface textures, minerals, stones, ornaments, universe images, furniture, spaces, food, drinks, magazine cutouts, facial expressions, hand-drawn sketches, jewelry, lines, shapes, coins, currencies, visual elements, etc. Now we'll see the common elements of the inspiration board, like fabric manipulation, stitching, sewing techniques you might have done to create your own fabrics, your personalized prints, drapes, your cutouts, embroidery research, sewing techniques, experimenting with different finishings, trend forecasting guides, market research, feedback from your customers, distributors, agents, etc. Okay, so I hope so far the class is going smooth and you find the content beneficial. We'll now look at some examples from my personal portfolio, which will help you to better understand how I personally take pictures from my surroundings, from my inspiration, and I convert them into a collection. So for this project, I was inspired by the Winter Wonderland theme. So through this mood board, I wanted to focus on the glitter effect caused by the morning sun on the snow, the stripes in the leaves, the parallel lines, the frost on the trees, on the plants, on the crunchy leaves in the morning. So from the mood board, I first derived a color card made up of purple, mauve, lilac, magenta tones, a little beige, and found my first fabric which had similar colors, which had stripes, and which also had a bit of glitter effect. And even though none of the images from the mood board were used in the collection itself, the fabric which I found contained the elements of frost, the elements of stripe, the element of glitter, and this fabric was then used in the collection. So this is my color card. So color is one element of the collection. The next element of the collection is the actual volume of the clothes. So for the volumes, I wanted to replicate this striped and parallel, if parallax effect in the clothes as well. So for this, I took a muslin and I draped it on a mannequin using French techniques. Using the leaves as the shape, and then I tried to superposition different pleats to get this parallax effect. So in the sketch on the right, you can see the mannequin wearing this jacket with the fabric I drew on top of it. So you can see how the final jacket with the fabric resembles and links with the initial mood board on the basis of color as well as the shape. Now, this is another project I did inspired by the chef's outfit, the tools, the knives, the cutlery they use, as well as the uniform. And I wanted to add a second element in the collection using prints. So for the prints, I was inspired by the planets, the solar system, the weird effects and lights that we see in the pictures by NASA. So for the mood board, I decided to mix the two elements, the chef's cuisine world, as well as the universe and space world. And I arrived at this extravagant, very avant-garde looking mood board. So between the mood board and the final silhouettes, there is an indirect link, meaning that none of the images from the mood board have been used directly or in a raw form in the collection. But if we look at the inspiration board, we can see how the mood board was translated into prints or garment details or other technical aspects which were directly included in the collection. So here you can see the fabric research the print development that was done using the missile motif, the planet motif, mixed with the chef's outfit, and then the color card which was taken using the background of the mood board. And by mixing these two elements, the color card and the fabric research, I developed the final silhouettes and the technical file and the flat drawings. Okay, so we have arrived at the end of the class. If you have any questions, you can activate your audio or you can type them in the chat box and I'll try to respond. I'm also displaying my LinkedIn profile as well as my Instagram handle. If you have any questions or queries, or if you want to discuss your professional projects, or if you want advice on how to develop your careers in fashion, you can reach out to me via all of these platforms. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat box, so I assume this was quite the information I gave you was quite clear. But just before we leave for the day, I would like to inform you about my next masterclass, which I'll be planning very soon on the types of mood boards, where I will talk about the different types of mood boards in a lot more detail and how these different types of mood boards are made in fashion houses, especially in Paris. I don't have a date yet for the second masterclass, but you can follow me on LinkedIn, and most probably I will post updates about the next masterclass on my LinkedIn profile. So I hope today was an enjoyable experience for you guys, and hope to see you soon. Have a good day. Bye.